From Siths
to sinners.
This week, we'll be discussing the re-release of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Ryan Coogler's brand new vampire horror movie, Sinners.
This is The Film Angle.
Hello and welcome to The Film Angle, a podcast where we dive deep into the latest releases and unearth the classics to better our cinephilic curiosity. I'm Kris.
And I'm Alex.
Alex, should we get into it?
Let's get into it, though I think we should start with an apology to our audience, Kris.
Okay.
And the apology comes from you, I'm afraid.
Oh, yes, sorry. It was me. What did I do?
You didn't watch Cleo from 5 to 7.
Oh my goodness, everybody's going to be coming after us.
We are never going to finish the Sight and Sound Greatest Films of All Time Blind Spot series if you keep doing this.
Yeah, I mean, like, if anybody doesn't know who's brand new to the show, we basically, how many episodes are we in now, Alex, to the show completely?
I think this is 134.
Okay, and we have basically just, dedicated half of the show to a side feature called, the top 100 BFI films, the Sight and Sound list that comes out every 10 years. And I think we've been recording it for about 100 years too.
Yes.
It's great fun. It's really good. Sometimes it's hard to squeeze these movies in when we got all these new releases coming out too. Alex seems to always meet the quota, but I always seem to fuck it up. And this week is no exception. I mean, I've been busy. I've been doing important things. I've been scratching my balls, for lack of a better term. I mean, I've been doing that too, but
I'm busting your balls. I'm busting your balls, Kris.
Well, they're well and truly busted, and deservedly, Alex. I apologize. We will be returning to that feature of the show next week on the back end of the episode. I promise, everyone.
Oh, a promise.
A promise kept. Promise made is a promise kept. Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to butcher that.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Kris.
Oh, and then, or else the devil might follow you home.
Well, if you were a big Spider-Man fan like me, you would turn around and you would say, "But those are the best kind."
Oh, it's bad to be good. It's good to be bad. Oh shit! Fucking hell. I'm completely malfunctioning already. 3 minutes into this episode. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. We are releasing just mere days before May the 4th, and it's kind of fitting. We teased it at the end of last episode. I doubt anybody was able to guess from us very beautifully, giving you a rendition of the soundtrack, that we were going to be today talking about Star Wars.
Oh yeah, my rendition, I think it was more you than me.
Oh, do you reckon? I think you came in late, but you ended it pretty nicely.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Like, it's, we're not fucking around here. We're playing, we're singing.
We're singing.
And it's Star Wars.
We're meowing, I think, at one point.
Yeah. It was a homage to Tom Hooper's classic Cats movie and Star Wars that we both love so much. Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then after Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, the re-release, we're getting into Ryan Coogler's Sinners, which is a film that you've seen twice now, Kris. And I guess we're a little bit late to the game. It's been out for a couple of weeks now. My own fault for being away when it came out and not realizing as well, not prioritizing Sinners over a holiday. Because I didn't realize just how big a deal it was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that later. I saw it on release day, which gave me the chance to watch it a second time, because I'm like, I didn't get to see an IMAX the first time. I'm gonna take advantage of that while I can. I'm really, really looking forward to talking to you about that movie, because people in work are talking about it too, and none of them have seen it, but like, people come up to you and go like, "Oh, have you seen Sinners yet?" And like, what? And then they're like, "What's it about?" And like, it's a really hard movie to describe because it's a lot of things, and more than what it sells itself on being, which is really, really cool. So yeah, really looking forward to talking about that one with you, Alex.
Yep, definitely. In true Star Wars vibes. Shall we just get into it?
Absolutely. Yes, please.
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
So, Alex, it's been 20 years, can you believe that, since Revenge of the Sith first came on to our screens in 2005. I just remember, like, that being my childhood. Like, I know everybody says Star Wars is their childhood, and probably a lot of people listening to this episode, you know, who's a similar age as us will completely relate on this level, is that Revenge of the Sith, those prequels movies, especially that film, were just like really all-encompassing moments in time where there had never been such hype for a movie like this before, in terms of like marketing itself on the front burner, and also like into video games. You know, like this is the era of like we were starting to like get teasers of what would actually happen in the movie, like a year before the movie actually came out, and it's something so wholesome and sweet, and such a great, you know, reflection to look back on, you know, how cinema was even so important to us, even at such a young age. It's so great to come back and revisit a film like this again.
Well, definitely. I was trying to think whether the 20-year anniversary made me feel young or it made me feel old.
I say old. It's crazy that's 20 years, right?
Oh, see, I was like, I feel like this film is so much older than 20 years old. I don't know why. Right, it just feels so far back in my childhood now.
Yeah.
Like it feels crazy that there's only 10 years between this and Force Awakens, right? Is it 10 years between the two?
Yeah, that is crazy. I think
like that wait felt long. Like I, you know, after Revenge of the Sith came out, that was it. I was like, we'll never get a Star Wars again. I was fully convinced of that. I was like, we're never getting Star Wars. I remember reading little tidbits about George Lucas making an underground Star Wars TV show that might one day happen, and that was the only thing I could grab onto.
Yeah.
When Revenge of the Sith came out, I thought that was it, and that distance between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens felt longer. Like,
you see, like if a 10th anniversary edition of Force Awakens came out now, that feels more crazy to me, because I don't know if that's just a mixture of COVID really messing up this decade so far, or just like, you know, it's just a thing about getting older, is just that the last 10 years just seem to like dissolve. And compared to like our childhood, I feel like a lot of people probably, I don't know if a lot of people listening can relate to that, is that time seems a little bit more sacred, a lot slower paced. You can identify more key moments about it. Maybe I'm just clinging on to my childhood too much and all those wonderful moments watching those sort of movies for the first time. But man, it's watching this again in the cinema, Alex, I didn't feel like visually, like, I know the prequels were always kind of wonky in a way, despite their big budget and how innovative they were. But I actually kind of felt that for the most part, it hasn't aged terribly.
Well, no, I think, you know, we think back to the clunkiness of the prequels sometimes, and I think Attack of the Clones maybe is kind of the place where it was still trying to find its step, and it didn't fully, you know, work in this digital age where it just looked a little bit too clean and green screeny. But I feel like George Lucas found his stride in Revenge of the Sith. Like, this is what I almost wish this is what all the prequels were, despite the fact that I love Phantom Menace.
Third time's the charm, yeah.
Yeah, I almost wish that like he had perfected this formula before starting the prequel trilogy, and they all were on this kind of grand, big, like truly a space opera kind of phase. But like, before we get more into that, I want to know more about, how old were you, Chris? Like, did you see this in the cinema? Like, let's go back to little baby Chris.
Yeah, goo goo gaga. Yeah.
Not that young, I don't think.
No, I mean, I didn't see episode 1. I completely, you know, I was like, I was born in 96 for reference, so 99 was episode 1, so no chance of seeing that one. But although I did have it on VHS and absolutely, like, you know, I slept with it in bed every night. I love that thing so much. Episode 2,
episode 1 was actually the first film that I remember seeing in the cinema, and I'm pretty sure it was one of the first live action films. And I distinctly remember it being one of the films, like, So I'm pretty sure I'd seen animated films in the cinema before, and we were living in Germany at the time, and we'd come back to Plymouth.
Sure.
So I actually saw it in the Plymouth View. I think it was still a View then, or maybe it was something else. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I distinctly remember my parents saying, "What do you want to go see at the cinema?" And I think we were getting lots of Star Wars like little cereal toys at the time, and I was like, "I want to see this Star Wars film."
How old were you?
I would have been 6 when Episode 1 came out.
I want to see Star Wars.
But I felt very grown up going to see like a live action film. Like I was
imagine.
like, "Ooh, I'm seeing an adult film." Fell in love with it. And the rest is history. Then like didn't fully realize at that time that like there had been like 3 more films that had been made in the past. So when I came across that in what would have been the NAFI, which was our little British kind of store, mainly on army camps, sometimes they're outside army camps, but either way, they had a little rental VHS section. So when I came across like a Star Wars VHS, I was like, wait a second, there's more of these. And it wasn't long before my parents then bought me the kind of VHS box set, and that was it. My love of Star Wars had started.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I remember going to see Attack of the Clones in the cinema. I don't remember being as like fanatic as I was like before Episode 3 came out though. Like Episode 3 was a very, very big deal.
Yes. Attack of the Clones, also, I probably was just a bit too... No, because I saw my first movie in cinema was Philosopher's Stone, or, Sorcerer's Stone, if you live in America, which was 2001. So Attack of the Clones was 2002? Yeah, yes. So I think I just missed that. I think my dad just didn't want to, I was probably a bad child or something, and nobody wanted to do cinema.
Was this your first ever Star Wars film in the cinema?
Revenge of the Sith was the first one. I would have been 9 years old, which was like pretty perfect. I feel like just pure like all the seriousness, all the stilted dialogue that we meme about today and we make fun of or have even just like an affection for, like 9 years old, you're taking that shit seriously, It's full operatic charm is completely, it's just like Shakespeare. I had a lot of affection. Battlefront 2 came out the same year, and we were all going around to everybody's houses playing that, like playing as the characters from the movies was really, really cool.
Galactic Conquest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Were you more a Rebels guy or a Empire guy?
I don't remember. Probably more of a Rebels guy, because I remember playing with the heroes, like your Lukes and stuff more than anything else. I've always been a bit more of a heroes guy than a villains guy. Yeah,
that's true. That is something about you. Yeah, you're if you had a lightsaber, you'd be green, right?
I'd love a green lightsaber. Yes, please.
Yes, an Irish lightsaber for me, please. I think I like the classic blue. I like the classic blue.
Yeah, you're a classic guy. You're a classy guy.
Thank you very much. I think it's the same for a lot of people listening. We'll have a lot of fond memories for this movie. And then so watching it again 20 years later in the cinema was a really cool experience. I mean, there's loads of different ways you could see it this time too. They had the Phantom Menace re-release last year that did a similar thing where I got a chance to see it in 4DX, which was really cool. Get the shit beat out of me for about half of the movie. It was really fun. It was a lot of fun, Alex. It wasn't 3D glasses. It was just the chairs this time. It was really fun. But I forgot how much of this movie is like Anakin and Padme and Obi-Wan talking in big empty rooms. And so the chairs were kind of redundant for those large sections of the movie.
It's a bit of a chess game, isn't it? It's a lot of push and pull, a lot of Anakin being a pawn within the middle of this kind of conflict, isn't it? And I found that I kind of grabbed onto that a little bit more in this viewing. I think kind of understanding that, whatever happened was not going to be great for this guy. Like he's being pushed one way by Palpatine, he's being pulled another way by the Jedi Council. And I guess Palpatine completely understands what he's doing, but the Jedi Council just do not understand that they are moving this guy into a bad place. They almost push it upon themselves in the way they kind of I guess, neglect him in a sense and use him even more than they think Palpatine is using him. And it's kind of a sad thing. And I thought this when I came out of the cinema as well. I just thought, like, every time I watch this film, I really want there to be a happy ending. And it's so sad that it is quite a devastating film if you think about it. And I just want these characters to have a happy ending. I want Anakin and Padme to live happily ever after with their kids, and Obi-Wan be the uncle to the kids, and Yoda's cool with it. Like, the Jedi are like, it's fine. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just want it all to work out every time. And there's a bit of me that's like, maybe they made an alternate ending for this.
Oh, man. I mean, it's so interesting that you feel that way, because I think everybody who loves this movie feels exactly the same way, where we're just like, for some reason, the final act of this movie comes out of nowhere, and you're just sort of like, once Order 66 happens, and like, you know, the Emperor has control of the clones, and they betray the Jedi, and you know, Anakin is really the spearhead for that. It's really it's oddly upsetting, but like, the thing is, what does the movie actually do to earn that? And it's like, it's this anomaly in all of cinema where the stakes come out of nowhere, and I can actually tell you, they aren't earned. They aren't earned. They aren't, you know, but it works for some odd reason. It completely works because of its childish earnestness of how Lucas has sort of pathed this journey out. And,
it is a 180, but I almost see Anakin's kind of turn as, like, I know obviously it is supposed to be tragic. This isn't like a new thing of it being tragic, but he almost feels like he has to do this because he has to save Padme.
It's so thin. It's like,
I don't know. It kind of works. It kind of, like, I get it. Wouldn't you do that?
I get it.
I mean, kill kids to save your loved ones.
Well, I don't know. I think the thing I struggle with is like why Padme is even into this guy, because like the whole movie, every scene that they have, this guy is just a bummer. Like, he's just like, they've never shared a happy like the movie both this and Attack of the Clones loves to tell you how much, oh, I love you, we love each other, and but there's like not really anything to show. There's no good times in their lives. There's nothing to kind of display to us that this is somebody that two people that want to be together. But like, yeah, sure,
she's pregnant. That must have been a good time somewhere.
Annie, I'm pregnant. Yeah, that's right. And he seems like he's this is wonderful. This is wonderful. Like, even that, he sounds like he's so intense all the time.
He's a very intense guy.
When she's out in the balcony at the start of the movie, just braiding her hair or whatever, and he's standing staring at her. He says, "What did he say?" He says, "You're so beautiful," and she said, "That's only because I'm so in love." No, only because I'm so in love with you.
Are you saying that love has blinded you?
I'm not saying that.
No. All right. George Lucas is not a great dialogue writer. He's a great storyteller, but he cannot write dialogue to save his life.
But it's half what makes the movie work, right?
Exactly. It's too fun. It's too silly at times.
Full house at our cinema, by the way. Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Every seat sold out. Loads and loads of white boys and their girlfriends.
Loads of 30 to 40-year-old men. Absolutely brilliant. I actually felt, it was actually kind of odd. I felt like one of the younger ones in the screening this time.
Oh yes, some of us, were 11 when the Revenge of the Sith came out.
But so every seat fully booked out, but it's so odd though, because I wish I could see this in the US or somewhere a little bit more enthusiastic, because as soon as I saw that Star Wars, I hate to be a fanboy. I know I'm kind of not outspoken about Marvel, but I've kind of grown a disdain for it over time. I did kind of like want to cheer when I saw the Star Wars sign come up and see that was one of the most ridiculous title crawls ever.
War!
War, yes. War! Yeah. It's incredible. And I'm so excited. And I just wish everybody was, I feel like if we could have one of those late night, midnight movie night experiences where everybody's cheering, saying these lines. Everybody in the cinema knows these lines off by heart. Come on.
Yeah, especially like you could hear the audience like inhale a little bit, like when Obi-Wan says hello there. Like we all want to say it at the same time. It almost needs to be some kind of introduction to the film to be like, this is a 20-year-old film. You're all here because you've seen it before. You're all here because you love it. Let's just loosen up a little bit, like clap, cheer. You just don't get that in the UK, though, do you? You just don't get it. And it's such a shame. I would have loved to have clapped at this film. Nobody was doing it. I was by myself. I'm not instigating it. I'm not that guy. But I wanted to. It takes
a person can instigate it, but it takes a very special type of person. These people like have aura without even looking at them. If I was to do it, I'd probably get kicked out, or like someone would just like look at me and stare at me like I was a weirdo. But so what we do in the UK instead, and what I saw a lot of during the screening, Alex, was a lot of side eyes. You know, when something something happened, or like all the Mustafar, all that amazing dialogue that we get between Anakin and Obi-Wan at the end of the movie, I saw a lot of dudes sharing glances. And a few beers. Get a few beers into them. Come on.
Yeah. If you're not with me,
then you are my enemy.
Great stuff. And on that line in general, because obviously it's an actual line from George Bush, following 9/11. The politics of this film hold up. Like Lucas fully knew how democracies turn into dictatorships. He called that shit.
Yeah, he did. And he made it digestible and in a way that kids wanted to see.
I know. Anybody these days who says that, like, oh, I liked it when Star Wars, wasn't woke and didn't have a message, it's like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Mm. You completely missed the point of all the Star Wars films.
Yes. It's funny. I forgot how little actually happens in even how epic the movie feels. The movie's like book ends are quite short distances from each other. Like whenever we have the opening sequence of Anakin and Obi-Wan trying to rescue Chancellor Palpatine from General Grievous's ship, after they've had like a long stint doing the Clone Wars, and that's quite fun. If you've seen the Clone Wars TV show and like hear those little like nods to that, it's kind of like it's quite fun. But
the Clone Wars does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like solidifying Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship, and also kind of planting a few more kind of seeds of Anakin's going to turn to the dark side. And I think as well, Yoda seems very like unconcerned about when big things happen, and I almost get a sense of like with the Clone Wars TV show, this kind of stuff was happening like to the daily. Like, oh, what's happening now? Oh, a Godzilla is attacking Coruscant. Okay, what's the next thing? He's like, oh, all the clones have turned on us. Okay, I guess we'll figure this out by the end of the episode. Yeah. And then obviously it's much worse than that. But he's quite nonchalant to that idea for a little while.
Yeah. Jar Jar and Padme are infiltrating a poker night. One of those episodes. Some of my favorites. But can I say, like, that's one bummer against this movie and the whole prequels in general. I'm a little bit bummed of how they treated Yoda. Like, everybody loves Episode 5, little rascal Yoda, and they made him such a bore in these movies. Like, the fight's cool with Palpatine. The fight is cool. I love that. But like,
I always forget about that, though. Which I was wondering this throughout the film. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot Yoda and Palpatine fight. And it's set amongst, obviously, one of the big fights, which is Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, like, why we don't remember that one nearly as well.
I don't know. I always remember Yoda spinning one of those big seats around the circle. I love that bit.
I love when he throws Palpatine over the chair. Anyway, I did knock you off a tangent where you were talking about the fact that the film it's kind of it's set over like 2 days, isn't it? It's not a long period of time.
Yeah, like I forgot, like especially Obi-Wan's sort of arc. Like after the opening sequence, Obi-Wan, buggers off to hunt down General Grievous on a planet system called Utapau, and so he spends the majority of the movie on that planet just surviving on a lizard and swimming around and fighting the guy at one point.
And even then, he's not there that long.
No.
Like, he gets there, he fights Grievous, and he leaves. Like, that, honestly, he's not even there for that long when you think about it. I guess maybe they just spent a lot of time in the Jedi Council at the start, maybe.
Yeah, it's true. And I love General Grievous as a design. Like, when I'm watching him, especially that confrontation that they have, the big fight, and he does the little spinny thing with the lightsabers. I'm just like, oh, like even 20 years later, that looks good. Like, they nailed that.
It does. But you think as well, because I remember like getting the action figure for General Grievous in my local Karstadt. That was the big kind of like department store in Germany, and then the top floor was all toys. They used to get all the latest Star Wars action figures in, and I remember I've still got it, man.
You need to show me. I don't think I've ever even seen a General Grievous action figure at all.
Oh yeah, no, I've got all of it, man. I've even got an Ackley from episode 2, Attack the Clones.
Nice.
Yeah. I got a clone gunship. I've got I can't remember what the clone fighters are called that you see at the start of this one.
Oh, yeah, they're
like 80, no, not 80s. They're like X-Wing kind of prototype kind of looking things.
Yes. Oh, it's like another letter instead of X. It's just another, yeah.
Yeah, man, I have an extensive action figure collection, but they're not in the boxes. They're just like in a box, just mushed and mangled together, and with my parents, not with me right now. But
of course,
keep hold of that for the future, guys.
Because I was about to say, because otherwise you'd be bringing that out every time I come to see you.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe I should get them to bring it up just so I can show off my collection now that I have somebody who will indulge me with it. But yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool. I got some cool stuff in there. Where were we going with that? Oh yeah, General Grievous. So we all knew what General Grievous looked like before the film. We knew he had 4 lightsabers. That was the sell. He's got 4 lightsabers. All this kind of stuff, which was kind of really bigging him up as this big thing. But the fight, he loses 2 hands within 10 seconds and he's got 2 lightsabers. I feel like Star Wars was a good lesson in restraint as a kid. Like, things might look cool, but it's not always going to go the way you want. The fight ends up with him not, like Obi-Wan, even having a lightsaber. Can you imagine today, like Lucasfilm today would be like, oh, we're going to have to give them like a 20-minute extended sequence for lightsabers, like fending off like 10 Jedi, and it's like George Lucas was like, I'll give you a little something, but no, that isn't how this works here.
Yeah, I did always like the idea of General Grievous being like all talk, really, and just kind of being actually kind of just a step above villain of the week, because obviously he's competent because he has killed Jedi to get these, because he collects these lightsabers as one of the first things that he says in the movie. But I love this sort of thing. It's like, as soon as he comes across like a Jedi Master, like Obi-Wan, it's not overly a contest, really.
No.
Like, he keeps evading that's his thing. Like, even the opening of the movie, he always just tries to like, I'll get a little jab in and I'll run away, and like let my minions do the thing for the minute, and then, it's cool.
It's funny that all the character stuff is quite funny. Like, even the fact that like Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson, you think this is going to be one cool Jedi, but no, he's like the pettiest, most kind of like stuck up Jedi there is. He's such a job's worth in this film. He's so annoying.
He is.
And it's like, you've got Samuel L. Jackson, but he's like, no, this guy is going to be kind of, too proud for his own good kind of thing.
Yeah, he never loosens up, and you can see like why Anakin gets frustrated. I can see kind of both of their point of views. I can see why Mace Windu is like, this guy's intense. Just calm down. We'll promote you when it's right.
They should never have let him on the council, Chris. They should never have let him on the council.
Yes.
If they were going to do it, they should have granted him Master, and if not, they should have said not yet and just left it at that.
I do agree with Obi-Wan, though. I mean, like, dude, chill out. You got promoted. Nobody's ever been in the council your age, and enjoy the moment. Like, he is a bit crazy.
Yeah, but I can see it as a slight as well. I don't know. Just yes or no, all right?
Yeah.
Not a maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he is the chosen one. Well, he was.
Yeah. Which, again, that comes out of nowhere if you haven't watched the Clone Wars, right? Like, the chosen one prophecy is not a thing in episode 2.
It's a thing in Phantom Menace, is it not? When they first, when Annie first goes to the council, when he's a little kid, Qui-Gon's trying to like bring it up and everything. Yeah, but again, if you hadn't, that was 6 years ago. If you hadn't seen it since going to the cinema,
yes, and 20 years in Star Wars time.
Ugh. Can't keep up. But yeah, it's great. I think we have an ownership over episode 3, especially. I don't know why. We just have this ownership over this movie. It's so special to us. Whenever I love seeing clips on like Instagram or TikTok of like people doing like those private screenings in their house and everybody just like yelling out the dialogue in unison. It's so sweet to me. I don't know. There's something so like unoffensive about Revenge of the Sith, but it's just fun. It's just good, fun cinema, and there's nothing else like it. There's nothing else like the prequels. And yes, I will not argue with anybody. I'm sure you're the same. Like, you'll not argue with anybody who thinks these are shit, because there's a world I understand that. But
I at one point thought this was the worst film of the prequels.
Really?
I've had a really up and down relationship with the prequels. Like, obviously loving them as a kid. As you get older, you start to hear people say like, "Wow, look at the originals. Nothing beats them." And like, imagine watching these films after seeing the originals and waiting all this time. You go, "Yeah, actually, I would have been disappointed. I would have done this." And then you start getting into that hate mode, and then you start watching like Red Letter Media, like, really breaking down the films.
Yeah,
and the way they broke down Revenge of the Sith, I remember. I think it was like maybe like my early uni years. I was like, God, this is the worst film ever made. Like, I truly thought for a minute Revenge of the Sith was the worst one. And I've since then just been like, lighten up, man. These are the films of your childhood. These are all great. These are all great.
I completely
agree.
Know
what? Out of all 3 of the prequels, the easiest one to watch over and over again is Revenge of the Sith. It's the most fun.
Yes, because every little problem is like a source of joy. Like, every little problem is a cause for celebration. Where like the previous installment, Attack of the Clones, its problem was more just that it was boring. It was an ugly looking movie, which is funny because it shows that kids sometimes have a different relationship to these movies when they're at that age. Because I remember talking to a lot of friends, even recently in the last few years, that love the prequels. And a couple of them said to me, "Oh man, I haven't seen Attack of the Clones in years. I love that movie. I love the Colosseum. Like,
the Colosseum was a big thing."
It's because they saw 100 lightsabers on screen at once, and it just like every kid, it blew their mind. And then you watch it as an adult, you're like, yeah,
yeah. Well, you get to see like Jango Fett versus Obi-Wan. You get to see Yoda with a lightsaber for the first time. Like, all these cool things
jumping around. Yeah.
Anakin's all grown up now. And he's lusting over Padme, who's wearing very sexy clothes.
She's a senator.
She's a senator, and he's Jedi. They can't get together. There's this new rule in Star Wars all of a sudden.
It is just like, oh, why can't you just let them fuck, for God's sake? Like, why is there this stupid rule? I mean,
well, Chris, episode 3, come on, man. You saw what happened.
Yeah.
Though, all right, there were a couple things in this. So Yoda says to Anakin, like, you can't miss people, when they die, you don't miss them. They, everything is as it is. It's the Force, blah, blah, blah. Later on, he says to Chewbacca, I'm going to miss you. Dude.
Yeah.
Not allowed to miss anybody, man.
It is cute, though, when he says that. Miss you, Chewbacca, yeah. I will.
That whole thing is silly, though. I guess it's just to get him out of the way, like out of Coruscant, but then just to have him on a planet with Wookiees.
Yeah,
I can see why original fans were just like, what? It like fed you like little things, but not enough.
The movie doesn't know a way to get Yoda into his own little starfighter, so they put him in this little tiny rocket ship pod, and which is funny because if you ever play like Lego Star Wars, Yoda has his own little starfighter that you can control. Yeah. I love stuff like that. But you're right, yeah, it's and Padme infamously, she, even though she's dying at the end of the movie, and the droid comes up saying there's, physically there's nothing wrong with her. She's in perfect health, but she's just doesn't want to live anymore. I always find that a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I was going to ask as well, like other performers. Actually, I'll quickly say about Natalie Portman. It is such a shame that in the previous 2 films she has like her own initiative and she gets out there, like, very much like Leia was in the originals. Like, she's not worried about getting her hands dirty and getting kicked into the action. And she takes such a back seat in this film, and she is just a damsel in distress. And it is such a shame that she didn't get more to do here other than just kind of sit around, be pregnant, and cry when Anakin turns to the dark side.
She's good at crying. Like, she does the best of what she can do. But yeah, I'm so with you. I love in the Coliseum in episode 2 where she's like a little bit of a swashbuckling sort of character.
Yeah, like she can get herself out of that situation without having to be saved.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, she's got a blaster and everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I did want to say, what do you think of Ian McDiarmid?
100% the best performance in the movie.
Really?
Like, yeah, he's pure camp. He's having the time of his life.
I can't tell when I'm watching him whether I love what he's doing or if he's just doing too much. He is full-blown pantomime villain in this film.
But do you not like absolutely light up whenever you see him in that mood?
But it's like he's in a different film sometimes.
I do love if there's any gravitas in this movie and lore building that's actually genuinely excellent. I love when Anakin comes to visit Palpatine when they're in that weird orb opera show.
That always happens a lot earlier than I remember as well.
It does happen a lot earlier, and I love, and the wheels are turning. Yeah, the manipulation happens a lot quicker than I remember too. Like, there's not that many steps to get Anakin where he is. Palpatine is very aggressive in his pursuit of Anakin. Like, it's like, I've been grooming this guy for like 10 years. I'm bored now. Let's just fucking
let's just fucking turn him.
yeah, he's ready.
Yeah.
But I love that moment of like him talking about the tale of Darth Plagueis, and the Wise, and that's really fun. And it's like it's kind of daring because you're like, oh, you could lose the audience here. You're going very lore heavy. You're starting to talk about midichlorians and like and blood count and everything like that. But there's something about that moment. It's so, and that sort of grim Emperor hum that's underneath with that show going in the background. It's really cool. I do like that. Yeah. It's awesome.
I lost my voice a little bit then as I was trying to do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that. He's great.
Yeah.
All right. He's great. He is great.
I mean, like, yeah, when he says like, Chancellor, you have lost, and he's just like, no.
I just like the bit where he's like, unlimited power.
It's so joyous, and I love any time that he is he's replaced with a stunt double. Anytime the stunt double is doing something for him, where he's doing like when Mace is like pushing him against he's chasing him along the window, and he does like free flips to go to the other side of the windowsill.
Oh yeah,
and his iconic spin in the air that makes that noise, like it's incredible. I love it. It's so, and it's just so silly. It's so silly.
No, don't hurt me.
I have the power to save the one you love. That's great.
I do. Yeah. All right. I love it. I love all of this. I can't not.
Absolutely. And like, I love how, like, I don't know if it's a character choice as well. When Anakin is like absolutely burning to death when Obi-Wan leaves him on Mustafar at the end, and his legs get singed and everything, and Palpatine comes later on very nonchalantly to collect Anakin. There's no haste. He just like kind of like it leans.
You can feel him. He can feel what's going on. He knows he's all right-ish.
Yeah, it's the bitchiness of Palpatine. Just like he has no emotion for this guy, but Anakin's willing to believe that Palpatine cares about him, and he's just like standing by the bank watching him burn to death and waiting for the evac to come. Yeah. Oh man, it's so fun to talk about this movie with you. I like this movie.
I like this movie too. It is silly. It's great. It's a full-blown space opera. Some of the best music
100%
in Star Wars is in this film.
Yeah, that Mustafar fight, and we get the Duel of the Fates, one of the best pieces of music I think John Williams has ever written, is brought over to this movie too. And then we get like some of the nostalgia at the end. We get like Leia's theme fully orchestrated, and it's beautiful, and like, and the droids got their own stuff going on too. It's great. It's fantastic.
It is good. I actually watched the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars before going in. I don't know if you've ever seen them. It's a nice supplement. Actually, it probably works better after the film than before. But it is a nice supplement to that film. Have you seen those final 4 yet? I know you got so far with Clone Wars.
I got like 3 seasons in. I was really enjoying it. They were my bath time. I used to have my iPad. Sometimes
my bath time.
Anyone who wants a terrible visual aid, for some reason I always lean to sci-fi whenever I have a bath. So I put my iPad, I prop it up on the table beside the bath, and I'm watching some Star Trek at the minute while I'm doing that. At the time it was the Clone Wars, and I think I overdid it at that point. I really binged the first 3 seasons.
There's a lot of Clone Wars. I honestly don't think it is as good as some people like rave about, but there is some really good stuff within.
That's the thing. There's some silly episodes. Yeah, there's a lot of inconsequential shit going on, but then you get the odd episode that's like, oh my god, this is excellent television. So
I implore you to just go and watch those final 4 episodes. They work as like a mini film in itself, and
they're longer too, aren't they?
No, really? I still think they're like 30 minutes each, but they work to make like almost a bit of a mini film that you see Revenge of the Sith from like Ahsoka's point of view.
Oh, nice.
And then that's kind of like it all plays out in the same time, and like even to the point where you're like, she does something, and then she goes and speaks to like Mace Windu on a hologram, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Obi-Wan's just killed General Grievous," and they're like, and you're like, "Oh shit, that
I know that
this is all moving so fast."
yeah, that's it. Well, there's space to do that. There is space to do that. That sounds cool, and I'll catch up with that because
just watch those 4. That's it. That's all you need to.
Okay.
All right. So before we end this segment, because it's May the 4th in a few days, top 3 moments from Revenge of the Sith. I want your top 3.
Okay. Look, I'm going to go for a single shot with a musical moment too. I love whenever Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting on Mustafar at the end, and the music builds up, and there's this point where both of their lightsabers clash at the same time, and then there's a big lava explosion, which is timed with the music in the background, which is just like epic as hell. I love that. Another moment from that fight that I love is if anybody's seen it on YouTube, you can watch like a 1-hour loop of this. There's a point in the fight where Anakin and Obi-Wan both do spins with their lightsabers, but, which don't come into contact with each other, and they're just
too in sync. They're too in sync.
They're so in sync that they're just doing like ninja spins with their lightsabers for like a 3-second period. That's really fun.
Yeah.
And then I am gonna go back to. I love the Count Dooku fight. I love Palpatine watching and going, like kind of getting in there and like, being his bitchy self. So those are my 3 moments in the top of my head.
Leave him or we'll never make it.
His fate will be the same as ours.
I was going to say, when you're watching the film, the Anakin Obi-Wan fight, you're like, I cannot wait for this to happen. Like, it's going to look good on the big screen. The other bit is the Order 66 moment, because that montage and the music, like even just before that, when Anakin's like contemplating going, like whether he's going to go join Mace Windu, against Mace Windu's orders to help apprehend Palpatine, that kind of like operatic like music while he's staring out in the distance, and
it's almost like Hans Zimmer-y, isn't it? Like with that single female vocal going on. Yeah. That's really
a great moment. So I mean that's 3 already, but whatever. You did more than 3. I'm gonna do one more. The opening I think is fantastic, and I appreciate now, like it is just all CGI, so it is easy to do a one shot. But at the time, I don't think that had been done with that much going on the screen at the same time.
Yeah.
So like that one shot of them kind of spinning around, big battleships as the war rages on beneath them is quite cool. And I imagine a good 40X moment, like, because that truly feels like a theme park ride camera in a way.
Yeah, especially those any explosion where like the ship was going through an explosion, like the seat like just shook the hell out of us. It was a lot of fun. Yeah
Nice.
More fun. I find those moments even better than the lightsaber moments. Like, you could tell that like they were sort of like, well, what can we do with the suit with the lightsaber? I suppose like try to emulate the lightsaber. I did
just vibrating or something like.
Yeah, I mean, like especially whenever Palpatine's doing that unlimited power thing when he's electrocuting his window, and I'm just vibrating in my chair.
Did they use the strobe lighting in that scene?
Yes, so that was cool. Every time a lightsaber clashed with another lightsaber, the strobe went. So that was really awesome.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it was like if you have epilepsy, don't do it.
Yeah, that's a lot of lightsabers clashing in this film.
Yeah, so it was a fun experience. Oh man, you're so right. Why did I not? Yeah, you have the better pick with the Order 66. That's so good. And that bit with Jimmy Schmidt comes in, and that little teenage kid Jedi comes out, and you're like, I don't know who this kid is, but I want him to live, and it's really sad when he gets shot down. Yeah, well, it's not earned pathos, but it's pathos nonetheless.
Yeah, that Jimmy Smits. That's like, I guess I don't watch Red Letter Media like I used to, but that the thing I always remember from that is like Basil Oregano.
Basil Oregano, yeah, that's right.
Biological father.
It's great. That's fantastic.
That makes me laugh all the time. Whenever I see him, I can't help. Like Basil Oregano.
Yeah, absolutely. He's Yoda's Uber driver for the later part of this movie.
That's one way to put it. Star Wars.
I mean, like, who hasn't seen it by this point? If you haven't seen it, like, you can watch it by itself. Like, you don't need it. I honestly think, as an entry level Star Wars fan, could you?
I heard a lot of people in the cinema saying it was their first Star Wars. Mainly because it sounded like, I know there are a lot of female fans of Star Wars as well, but there were a lot of women in the crowd in this crowd in particular, who'd been taken with their boyfriends,
sure,
or taken by their boyfriends. I can't get the right words out of my mouth. Bloody hell.
Yeah, you have to be careful about your onboarding, because there are those moments of stilted dialogue that are just like played for seriousness, that are just like there's no action going on. And I feel like if you're not in on the joke or in on the affection that pre-exists for that, then you're probably going to have a hard time in those moments. You're going to be like, this is just awful. Like, I was taught to see this. I was told this movie's good.
Yeah, so many people love this.
Yeah. She's talking about, like, he's talking about saving her from dying in childbirth. Like, what's going on? Yeah, so, like, I mean, I think everybody by now knows where you and I stand on it. And hopefully people listening feel the same way. I think it's great. Roger Ebert famously loved this movie too. So, we're in good company there. So, yeah, definitely. If you can still, like last year, Phantom Menace was so successful on re-release, that they extended it by another week. So I see no reason why Revenge of the Sith can't do the same thing, because it's.
Oh, definitely will. It was the second biggest re-release of all time this weekend, and I mean that shows from the sold out cinemas that we both went to, and also just kind of baffling to think that Lucasfilm have not released a film this decade when they're sitting on Star Wars, whilst at the same time, it feels like there's too much Star Wars. It doesn't make any sense. But how have they not released a film?
It's like they know that they need time, but a loss of time is a loss of money. It's like they're completely, it's what they're scratching their heads about, isn't it?
Yeah. Whilst oversaturating the market on the TV side to the point where people are starting to get tired of Star Wars. Though I haven't seen Andor yet, and I'm desperate to start watching season 2, but I've just not found the right moment. And I didn't want to start it before episode 3, because there's this hopeful optimisticness with Andor where you go, oh man, this is what Star Wars could be. And I thought, following the start of season 2 with episode 3, probably some of the best written Star Wars, followed by some of the worst written Star Wars.
Wow, okay.
It's like, I couldn't do that to myself. So I was like, watch episode 3, then jump back into Andor.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done yet, but I can't wait. Andor's amazing. So.
Yeah, good company there. But it's a weekly release, so I probably will wait for it till...
Weekly, but there are 3 episodes at a time.
Well, okay. Well, that's fine then. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think even like I guess it would be today by the time this recording comes out on a Wednesday. There'll be another 3 episodes of Andor because each 3 episodes encapsulates a story and a period of time. Like we're moving a little bit faster in this season towards Rogue One.
Should Disney pay us now? Is that right?
I don't know, man. I don't know. We're on their press release list. We get their press releases.
Yeah. Bob Iger's on speed dial. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish.
Okay.
Disney chills. Where's all this money they talk about that they pay people to give good reviews of Marvel movies and Star Wars? I'm right here.
Begging.
I'll give you a good review. I'm pretty easy.
Great.
Nice. All right. Onto the actual new film of the week. Now we'll actually talk about a new release film.
Yeah.
And I will preface it by saying we'll start this review spoiler free. So for anybody who hasn't seen the film yet, you can keep listening. We aren't going to spoil it just yet, and we will give you some warning before we want to get further into more in depth into the story. Is that all right with everyone? Is that cool with you, Chris?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Yeah, it's fine with you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I will try my best. You know me, something.
No, don't say try your best. We don't want to lose people here.
I always try my best.
All right. So, Sinners, set in the 1930s in the Mississippi Delta, and it stars Michael B. Jordan as twins. He plays 2 people, but like Armie Hammer did in The Social Network.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the best reference these days, but
it's an odd one to go to. Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of like other
Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap.
There you go. All right, there's a better one. Like Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap, Michael B. Jordan plays twins. They are twin gangsters who return to their hometown to kind of start a bit of a speakeasy, a bit of a what do they call it? A jukebox. Right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
A club, and only to be confronted within that first night by vampires. Uh-huh. That doesn't spoil anything. That's what the teaser set us out for, a kind of deep south period vampire film, and that is what you get. But you also get a lot more, I would say.
You get a lot more than is advertised on the tin, for sure. Like the first trailer came out, we've watched it a couple of times, and I think we felt the same way. We're like, yeah, I can see this being a strong movie. But there was nothing that stood out.
Yeah, it seemed all right. Like the trailers were very vibey. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Vampires in the 30s. Like, okay. Like, I wasn't even sure I was going to see this in the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
How silly was I? I should never have, even questioned Ryan Coogler for one second. But I was like, okay, this is his like in between films, between Black Panther films. Like, he wants to work with Michael B. Jordan again. And we'll just do some like pretty like vibey looking vampire film, and it's so much more than that. What a fool I am to discredit him like that. This is a great film. This is a great vampire film, a great blues film, a great film about just kind of African American culture and oppression within this time, and it just weaves together so beautifully.
Mm-hmm. It's that's the thing. It's kind of like you're at a loss to kind of where to start because it is so many things. And I think you're right. I think I was sort of expecting a very genre heavy movie. Like I thought it was just going to be the vampires thing.
Yes.
And like, yeah, maybe that could be done well, but like maybe this will just be another genre heavy movie that we get sort of towards mid-year where we're starting to get like, okay, that we'll forget about it pretty soon. But you're right. I mean, like how, Ryan Coogler, I feel like has such a great track record already as a filmmaker that it's that was silly to sort of dismiss it instantly. But this, I'm going to say it on the forefront already, Alex. I think this might be Coogler's best film. And I'm a big fan of Fruitvale Station, of Creed, and of course Black Panther. So that's pretty big credentials already. I also think this is Michael B. Jordan's best performance. I mean, it's always hard to play, play two characters, and especially when they bounce off of each other. But I always forget. Watching this 2 times, I forgot like that there's the same actor sharing the same space of himself this whole time. The characterization that they put into this movie is so strong. I mean, you're right that you're getting the vampire movie, but what you don't realize is that the first 40 minutes is going to be character development and getting those stakes ready before you even know that you're going to have those feelings later on. The emotion catches up to you whenever our characters start to be in peril. And then this is married so well with such like hilarious humor throughout. I feel like all the humor absolutely knocks you for 6, and that's such a clever tightrope effect where you're trying to weave such hilarious humor with such emotional catharsis too. Like this movie can get you. I guess it got me quite emotional at times, especially towards the end of the movie. There's so much going on.
Yeah, definitely, and you're so right about that start. And I'm pretty sure it's longer than 40 minutes before we even see a vampire. Like the first hour of this film is true, just kind of world building within Mississippi. Who are the characters that inhabit this land? What are their relationships to each other? What are their past histories? What are their goals? What are their wants? And it's almost like getting the gang together to have this night of just kind of let it all out. Is this a movie about blues? I forgot it was a movie about vampires. Like I was like, I'm in this. Like we're putting a blues band together. We're going to set up this juke joint.
Yep.
Like I'm like, show me what happens next. I'm ready for this. And even though we've all seen the trailer, or most of us have seen the trailer, we all know what's about to come. That moment where we kind of end that first act as they're all kind of heading towards this barn. We then cut to what's his name who plays the head vampire, Jack O'Connell. Sizzling in the sun as he's running away from like these Native American vampire hunters, and all of a sudden you're like, shit, I forgot this was a genre film. I completely forgot this was a vampire film. And it just kind of. Yeah, and it all kind of, I want to say downhill, but not in terms of quality, just in terms of like for the characters.
Exactly.
Nothing good happens when you introduce vampires.
Yeah. And like we all know that, we're building, this is a 1-day cycle movie. So we all know that we're building up to a moment, and it leans on its influences very heavily, like From Dusk Till Dawn. That is the movie probably most people will think about when they watch this. But that didn't mean that the movie was it was always surprising. It always had something different to throw at you, and there was never like a foresight of where this was going emotionally, or where our characters were going to be. There was no predictability about this. You were and it's almost
if anything, because you see almost like a bit of the future at the start of the film, you're almost wondering like, how does it even get to this point? Like that's kind of the main kind of thing, isn't it?
That's so true. That's so true. It's it's disguised so well, that little bookend. But yeah, I mean, I think this movie could equally, genres. If you look online, the genres that is classed under is thriller, action, western, horror, and drama. All of those are true, but there's one genre missing from there, and I actually think this could be classed as a musical too. Music is such an important part of this movie, and I think it's going to stay, and it really kind of is the foundation for some of the movie's greatest moments. Again, we won't get into those moments till later on, but there's some absolute hairs in the back of your neck moments that were all related with music, and not just the songs. There are also the score as well. The score that was done by Ludwig Göransson, who did the score for Oppenheimer, and you're like, this can be any more diverse. Like it makes me so excited to see what he is capable of in the future, because it was so authentic to the characters and the time period, but it was also just it was just cool. You know what I mean? There was a Tarantino aspect to how stylized the movie was, without being without ever being gratuitous, that it can be sometimes with a Tarantino movie. Instead, it felt muscular and weighty and punchy, and it completely underpinned the characters and made every emotional beat, comedic moment, anything that happens in this movie just even better.
Well, yeah, I mean, the scenes almost follow the music in this kind of way that it lingers and punctuates the scenes. And for a Star Wars link, because obviously we talked a lot about Star Wars today, Ludwig Göransson does the score for The Mandalorian. So,
oh, of course, yeah. Which is,
go.
again, a completely different flavor as well.
Yeah, and a different flavor of Star Wars that still works within Star Wars. Like, just, you know. He's great. He's clearly one of our greats at the moment. There's no doubt about it. But the way it incorporates music and how it transcends, time and space and all that kind of stuff is just utterly breathtaking. Yeah, and like a true use of it as a plot point within the movie, which is so interesting. And I kind of want to get into a bit more. Should we just say our final thoughts, non-spoiler, and get into spoilers?
Right. Okay. If you haven't seen the movie by now, we're about to get into spoilers. But before we get into spoilers, I think we can just say, if you haven't seen this thing, go out and see it. It is.
We both love it.
It's a must.
We both love it. We both love it. Very good. I have a few things that that I didn't love as much, but like nothing that kind of took away from the film too much. But those things happen towards the end, so we'll have to speak spoilers to get to those bits. But just know, maybe not perfect, but very, very, very good.
Very intrigued.
There you go. Well, spoiler warning, guys. That's your spoiler warning. Spoilers coming in now. Let's talk about it, Chris. Let's just go like front to back.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Do it all. Where do you want to start?
Well, I guess the interesting thing that this movie opens up with a sort of storybook element where we get a little bit of animation at the beginning that tells kind of like, it's not like a rule setter for the movie, but it's something to think about in the back of your head, where it's a sort of lore about that there are these that music in the blues music has a supernatural effect to it, where it can be used to bring community and bring people together. But there's also an element of sort of predisposed sin that's could be around this, that can attract dark souls or attract vampires in this case. So
it is almost a power that's only held by a few truly talented artists, right? Like, it's not anybody who plays blues can conjure this kind of transcendent music that travels through time and future and past.
Yes, it makes like a split in time. Yeah.
And here it's Sammy.
Yes.
Who is kind of our main character here, played by a relatively unknown, right? Miles Caton. I wasn't sure if I'd seen him in anything before. And then when I went on Letterboxd, I think this is his first film.
Yeah, it's his only credit in anything, I think, yeah.
Which is mad. Another Star Wars link here. He was born in 2005.
Ooh.
He was born when Revenge of the Sith came out. Obviously, well, he might have been on the day, but I don't actually know that. But yeah, so he's 20 years old. Honestly, he blew me away. I thought he was the MVP of this film for me. I thought he was absolutely incredible. And it obviously helps that everybody's kind of blowing smoke up his ass because of how good he is at music as well. And his music is the music that, does the magic.
Yes, absolutely. And he's not an aggressive character. He's quite like, because of his sort of social stance as a preacher boy, that's what everybody calls him, preacher boy. He is the son of a pastor, and there's restrictions on him in terms of how he can play music. That's sort of hinted in the movie because of his religion. His dad says, kind of the title card for the movie says, "Dance with the devil, and one day he'll follow you home," as a warning to Sammy. Say, if you go out playing tonight, you should be in church instead. So there's this sort of inner humble rebellion to Sammy. Like, he's not aggressive in that pursuit, but this is a character who is deeply soulful and plays the blues like nobody else around him. And it takes Smoke and Stack, or two Michael B. Jordan twins, to kind of come in, swoop down, and give him that opportunity to kind of become a hero of the night. and it's great. Like we open up the movie kind of going on errands, don't we? We go on errands with Smoke and Stack come back from Chicago after it's implied that they've robbed a bank to get their money.
Yeah. And one has been dealing with Italian gangsters, and one has been dealing with Irish gangsters.
Yeah, they've survived the First World War. It's
survived the First World War.
Yeah. So they're coming down with a truck full of Irish liquor and a lot of money, and they're going to start up a business. And yes, I love the characterization. I mean, the visual characterization, like, Smoke wears blue and Stack wears red. I mean, that's fine. It works. And I think Jordan does such a great job of really defining, obviously that's working with Coogler and the writers for this movie is identifying what makes these two characters set apart from each other. Stack is a little bit more like charismatic, happy-go-lucky, and Smoke is a little bit more emotionally scarred from reasons that we kind of get to know later on, and that's sort of but still a good person. And we get all these little interactions with people in the town. I love that interaction. That's
as good as a person can be who's a gangster.
Exactly, but it's important. Within this format of how we are seeing their story, it's impossible, kind of not to fall in love with both of them
100%,
in some way. I love that interaction that Smoke has with when he first rides into town, and he wants there's a girl standing on the edge of the street, and he wants her to look after the truck, and he's like, I'm gonna give you 15 cents every minute that you look after my truck. And then she says, okay, and he's like, well, that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to haggle with me. So you're supposed to ask me for 50 cents. And she says, okay, 50 cents. And he's like, no, 25. We'll call it a deal. So that's really cool. And I'm like, okay.
He's trying to help his community at the same time. Like,
sure.
He's constantly, in a way, giving back, trying to toughen others up a little bit, isn't he?
Absolutely. So you're like, oh, I guess I love these guys now. And then we're introduced to all these peripheral characters. We've got Annie, who is Smoke's old flame, who they had they kind of suffered the death of a young baby child together in the past, and there's a lot of emotional to that.
Wunmi Masaku, she is amazing in this film.
She is awesome.
Really good.
Yes, I love all the sort of like the witchcraft doctor stuff that's going on in here, which is tied into the supernatural element of the movie.
And allows them to just kind of, when the vampires come in, it allows them just to go, they're vampires, these are the rules. We don't need to spend too long going over the rules. We all know what vampires are. Let's just cut to the chase and have some fun with this. And I appreciated that in the film.
Exactly.
Even though they're very subtle with the rules to begin with. I was very happy when they first introduced Jack O'Connell, and I realize I'm getting ahead of ourselves here a little bit.
No, it's okay.
We can jump around. I was very happy to see that they were doing the invitation thing and how subtle it is.
Absolutely.
They love that. And I was like, are they doing they have to be invited in first thing? And then it's not until later in the film they fully confirm that. And then to be fair, there are a lot of scenes of them just trying to tempt other people to let them in. There's a lot of that in the film in the later half, but in those early scenes where it's like, are they properly doing the rules of vampires here? Like, because a film like this could play around with it, but they decide not to. They decide to go for the full thing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. I love that because anybody who watches something like what we do in the shadows will know what that means instantly. But I feel like there's a lot of people who maybe like occasionally watch a vampire movie or just not as in tune because they don't watch these sort of movies all the time to that gimmick. That it's quite fun. It's like some people might catch up to that a little bit later when it's a bit more, explicit about that detail. But the first couple of times, it's kind of like, oh, I see what they're doing. I've seen this before. So that's quite a fun thing that Coogler puts into the movie. So we're going on errands. We're going around town. We're introduced to these characters. MVP for me, Alex, is Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Lindo's so good, man.
As Delta Slim. He is funny as hell in this movie.
I feel like he's not in enough things. I remember watching him in The Five Bloods,
he's incredible.
4 or 5 years ago. He's so good in that film. And he's a Brit as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it. He's a Brit, right?
Yeah. He's English American, I think.
English American,
Yes.
gotcha. Yeah. Well,
He's incredible. Like he's so funny. Yeah, where he's haggling with Stack at the start to Stack wants to get him into the club to play harmonica along Sammy and be his support, and Slim's not interested at all until he tells him that he's got this imported Irish beer, and it's like he's never seen beer in his life. He's like, I still won't do it. But I've got 500 more bottles of these, and you can have as many as you like. And then it just cuts to there's a sharp cut to him playing harmonica on the street with Sammy. It's great. It's those little comedic moments that work so well.
Yeah.
We get Haley Steinfeld gets introduced in the film too. Cool to see her in this type of movie again, because I loved her in like True Grit when she was, her first big Oscar nod when she was a lot younger. Yeah. Cool to see her in this sort of role again, playing Stack's old flame as well. So we got all of these little chess pieces,
and a lot more of a hard ass than you think she's going to be. Like, when, she's first introduced, and then she's got an absolute potty mouth, and you're like, oh, okay, we're like, kind of really crossing what you think about this character out and just going for something different. So yeah, like a lot of fun characters to play with here with their different kind of traits and stuff.
And then we get to the big night itself. I think a scene stealer for me, and a lot of people are kind of putting this as scene of the year already, and I completely get it, is Sammy sings a song called I Lied to You, which is him kind of going, this is his rebellion song where he's talking about his dad not letting them sing the blues, and like he's, this is what he's born to do. And then we get this amazing tracking shot where we actually get our first big supernatural moment or dreamy sequence where we get music from like traditional roots music from Africa. Dancers coming in, we get hip hop artists or like DJs and spinning discs from the future, all coming into the club at the same time, existing in this space with Sammy. Even when we pan to our Chinese characters, Grace and Bo, when they're sitting around the poker table, and we get their ancestry come into this into play as well. It's an amazing sequence, and I got real goosebumps watching that.
I think as well, I love the use of the future spirits within that scene as well, because, at first you kind of see some kind of more like traditional African-American kind of dress and, people playing music and you kind of think, oh, that's kind of cool. There's some like kind of ancestry here. But then as soon as you bring in kind of future spirits, guy playing guitar, somebody on a DJ deck and stuff like that, you're like, oh, the way this is weaving in all these different musical elements. And because it is a film so like seeped within kind of African American culture and how that informs the story and even informs like the genre specific elements, it's a really powerful moment. And I can almost see Ryan Coogler like coming up with the idea for this scene and then going, how do I make a film that has this as like the star of the show in its middle, and him just writing this whole film around just that idea for that scene of like, I want to shoot this. How do I fit this into something? I don't think I'll be able to do it in a Black Panther film, but I got to figure this out.
Yeah, it's almost like there is a big long indoor shot in Black Panther that almost seems like the prototype for this. Like the action scene I'm thinking of with the Wakandan warriors almost seems like a little, like, in terms of choreography of how a shot is done like that, it seems almost like a prototype for this movie.
Oh, is that in the casino in the first
casino
one? Yeah, I can see what you mean there.
Yeah, in terms of just how that space looked, it's got that similar sort of lighting and feel. Obviously just a completely different vibe though, but yeah, that sequence is amazing. And then we're introduced to our Irish vampire, which is such an interesting choice. I mean, like, the KKK are part of this. They're a small element of this movie. They're kind of in the background, and they obviously very much prominently at the end of this movie. But there's a version of this movie where that could have been it could have been very overt and made them the vampires.
Yes,
but kind of go with an Irish person who's kind of assumed to have been around for a few hundred years, and teases information about about a hardened past that he's had too. So there's,
but also a musician.
Also a musician. Say when they first arrive to the club, they try to like invite themselves in by proposing that they sing and perform in a band, and they sing "Pick Poor Robin Klein," and that's very fun too. There's a lot of good Irish numbers in this actually. The big Irish,
a good way to show the hive mind element of this vampire story as well, because obviously the characters that he first brings into his turns into vampires are not people who could play the fiddle, or at least you wouldn't assume they could play the fiddle and know this song and can all of a sudden dance and choreography together. So there's that element of like, okay, you're showing me here that there's more than just kind of they've turned into a vampire. There's some like mind control stuff going on.
Yeah, they're like racist KKK members, aren't they?
Yes, revealed to be later on, and that's how we know further information about what's going on.
Yeah. Well, actually, sorry to be an asshole.
Be an asshole.
Only because watching the movie a second time, there is a quick shot whenever he first, when he's first introduced and inducts them into the vampire guild, for lack of a better term. There's a little quick shot of their KKK. In the background. So you are told, but
yes, very true.
But there's also something. And it really struck me. That's why I kind of implore people to see it a second time. There's always a worry with movies that are so flash and so, like so beautiful to look at, and they work really well in the moment. And the surprise element is a big part of that too. But it was very reaffirming to see the movie a second time and see a lot of its subtext actually come to light a lot more. And I think having that choice to have an Irishman play the vampire, in different levels, they're both kind of cultures, Irish people and Africans have kind of historically had to deal with,
oppression.
They've kind of been forced to relocate around the world and kind of go with their oppressors, like you say. And there's a lot about assimilation in this movie. Like music is a big part of that. The fact that we've got Irish music versus blues and soul, and Jack O'Connell's character very clearly wants to collect Sammy's music, and it's that sort of thing that's like, well, we're not the bad guys, we're not like the KKK that just outwardly hate you. We love your music. It's kind of like a musical gentrification thing.
It's like he wants to take Sammy's power for himself, I guess, because I guess it is a little bit murky as to what his true wishes are, but we know, like, I guess the idea is if he has Sammy under his control, then he would be able to conjure up those spirits, but maybe even conjure up his own ancestral spirits.
And
obviously he's long gone from that world. Like you said, it's implied he's a few hundred years old. So I guess that's the idea, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting, and it's like Slim says earlier on in the film, in a car journey, that white people love to hear the blues, but they don't like the people that play it, and that marries into that. I'm dancing around to here, Alex. There's somebody in a couple of years who's a lot smarter than me that will write a piece on this that eloquently puts together what I'm trying to say. But I love that Coogler doesn't outwardly spell it. There's just little nuggets of information here that are just something to go at.
It's not a film about kind of these African American Mississippi locals versus vampire KKK. That's what you're saying. It's more nuanced than that. Racism is a big thing, but it's not in your face of like, the film is about racism.
Sure.
It's about so much more, but also about like how oppression finds its ways in like smaller places. Like I really liked the little tidbit of a storyline when some of the people in the bar are paying with tokens.
Yes.
And it just shows you another way in which, the employees or the employers wouldn't even allow black people to have their own economy, essentially. Like, they were out of that. You were being paid in tokens, you're not being paid in dollars.
But they were forced to have their own, subjected economy, yeah.
Yeah, like little ways just to keep keep you down, keep you small, keep you a minority kind of thing. Like, there's no way you can make it in this world. So, like, I like those little touches in there. There's a lot of different things. You know, the fact that they're so scared of even allowing a white woman into the club, just in case, you know, all it takes is for somebody to see that as a slight, and then they could all be lynched. And it was, there's lots of little things in there about the way people have to live and why even this juke joint isn't needed in the first place, just a place to let loose without the fears of the world. And then I guess, like, the vampire thing is, like, even here, we cannot be allowed to be ourselves. Like, we still have dangers coming in from the outside, and these dangers aren't always what you think they are going to be. So, yeah, there's a lot going on.
It's so fun. It is. It's, you know, like, we can't help, because it's the first time we're actually talking to each other face to face about the movie, you know, instantly, because the way we are, we like to get the big stuff out of the way, that you know, it's things that are on our minds that we kind of came across in the movie experience. But we don't want to take away from the fact that this movie is just a lot of fun on face value too. You're not gonna be like, this movie's 2 hours 20 minutes, Alex. It absolutely flew by for me. Even more so the second time around when I kind of knew what was coming.
I think I'm very intrigued to see how this plays on a second go around, because I think that there may be a few scenes at the start where I'm like, oh, we're kind of lingering on this a bit, like, could this speed up? But then by the end, you're like, oh, I can fully understand why there is so much setup, and I almost want to watch it again. And I feel like some of those kind of slight critiques of it would disappear on a second watch.
Sure. Could you give me, like, a specific sort of, like, moment or scene that maybe?
Well, no, just like some of the build up. I was just like, okay, I get it. We can, you know, we're introducing so many characters here and so many things. I guess maybe I wanted the film to speed up a little bit at the start, but, like, again, I don't think that was a problem by the end. Actually, a few of my issues come with kind of the final fight. It almost feels like we've written ourselves into a corner. Like, how do we get out of this? And I feel like you have to let a few things slide at the end, to be able to just enjoy it. Are you happy for me to start talking about some of those? I appreciate.
Absolutely.
The middle of the film, but yeah, okay. So obviously, it comes down to this. You know, all the party guests who have left after they've sensed danger.
Slim tells them to go home, doesn't he?
Yeah, because Stack gets bitten and dies. Well, they think dies. Well, I guess in a way he does. And so
temporarily.
He tells everybody to go home, not realizing that he's essentially sent them all to their deaths, because they've just been turned to vampires on their way home now. So all of a sudden you have a mob of vampires outside of this juke joint, and they're trying to use every trick in the book to tempt somebody to let them in. And then, you know, in a moment of kind of haste, one of our characters, you know, just wants to get this whole thing over and done with, and says the terrible words of, like, come on in, or something like that. Like, you know, come and have some, essentially.
Yeah, she's under the threat that her daughter is going to be targeted. Because Jack O'Connell threatens her that she knows everything about her and knows where her daughter lives, and it's good to pay her a visit.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Which I was like, you know, wait out. It's not that for long till sunrise. You know, your daughter has to then wake up, has to go through the hoops of her dad having to ask for an invitation into the house. I was like, I don't know. I feel like you could risk it. I don't know.
You feel like the hive mind thing, like, it's like Jack O'Connell could just, like, send one of the minions off and keep the rest of them with him. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think a mother in that moment. She's panicking.
I get it. I'm saying it's fine. I let it slide. It allows for a big brawl to happen, but then at some point in the brawl, they all kind of disperse, and I'm not 100% sure why.
Yeah.
Then
it's boss fight mode, Jack O'Connell's like, you know, leave it to me.
Yeah, okay. Jack O'Connell then takes Sammy.
Yes.
And Sammy starts to just villain monologue him.
Yes.
Whereas he could just bite him and be over and done with it, but he decides to just monologue for quite a long time. Yeah. And in the meantime, you've got Michael B. Jordan fighting himself. You don't see an ending to that, so you kind of assume what's going to happen next. But he's somehow able to get away from that without Sammy knowing, despite the fact that Sammy is like the all-seeing, head vampire here, hive mind. He's then able to sneak past all the other vampires, get into the lake, and stab him in the back. And I just was like, okay, I really have to let a few things slide for a satisfying ending here. Like, I just felt like there was a little bit of like, we've written ourselves into a corner. We've got 20 minutes of the film to go before maybe it gets a bit too long. So, like, how do I get everybody out of this situation and then into the right places to have a good finale? Yeah. I then thought, I bloody remember seeing the whole big shot in the film was Michael B. Jordan with a machine gun. That doesn't happen. So I was like, is that lying? And then we find out that the barn was sold to the twins as a way to kind of lure a lot of black people into one place for the KKK then to come in and slaughter everyone.
Yes. It's kind of teased that this has been done before as well.
Yes.
Yes.
But they turn up in the morning. I
think there's it's supposed to be an agreement there, isn't there? Like they're the cleanup crew, basically. Like they're supposed to go in, open the barn, and see a bunch of dead people, and happy days, we've succeeded.
So who were the KKK that were going to go there in the night? Was it just those two characters?
The night?
Well, yeah. Well, surely you say the cleanup crew. What were they cleaning up?
They knew they were kind of in tandem with they were kind of in collaboration with the vampires, weren't they not?
I don't think they knew who Jack O'Connell was, did they? Jack O'Connell's in like a different film at the start of this. He's being chased by Native American vampire hunters who never return, and that's a cool story in itself.
I love that. That's good world building, right?
Very good world building. This film is like, we could, if you like this, there are places we can go. It definitely lingers on that. So I did wonder, like, why the KKK then just turn up in the morning? I guess maybe to hit a few stragglers who have maybe had too much of a late night.
I thought it was teased that like the KKK knew about the vampire stuff and that like they knew that by luring the twins to this location would evidently end up with their demise, and they could just come in and reap the rewards in the morning.
I didn't get that. I thought Jack O'Connell was a randomer, a stranger.
Because he knew about the KKK, and he was like, well, once we turn you guys, we'll maybe pay those guys a visit too. And just because
that's only because he turned the two guys who were part of the KKK, he would have been part of this plan in his first scene in the film.
Subtleties.
I don't know. Maybe I need to watch it again. Maybe I should be listening to you because you've seen it twice. But I just don't feel like that's what I got. Anyway, I am obviously picking at things here. Fine, whatever. You get to, we get to be very satisfied by Michael B. Jordan, machine gunning Ku Klux Klan members. Like,
yes,
we're all gonna cheer.
The most Tarantino part of the film. Yeah,
we're all gonna cheer unless you're Donald Trump. And
it's great to see, and it's also, and it's great to see Michael B. Jordan take a bullet in his stomach and, not phase him compared to, I love that little touch too.
Yeah. Well, not phase him. It
kills him. It ends up killing him. But in the moment, he's just like, oh, fucking suck it up. Yeah.
Well, because we don't see the satisfied, we don't see the conclusion to him fighting his own brother. I was very much like, okay, so he's alive, and maybe the plan was, get rid of everybody else, and then I get bitten by my brother after I've killed the KKK, and we become vampire gangsters. Mm-hmm. It isn't that, which is fine. That isn't a critique. I just thought that was where it was going. Mm-hmm. But we then get in the mid-credit sequence that Stack is alive as a vampire. So is Haley Steinfeld. Yeah. So they've been living for a long time. It's almost a shame that it's in the mid-credit sequence because people do leave.
You know what? Maybe I'm just being ignorant, Alex. I don't get why. Because you get about one black tile of somebody's name, directed by Ryan Coogler, and then 2 seconds later, before you even have a chance to get out of your seat, there's more. Yes, you got to Sammy playing the guitar, but
the lights don't go up.
Movie on, yeah.
Yeah, the lights don't go up. There is visuals playing out on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a couple of people left my screening.
Both times I went half the screen left.
I think if I knew Like, if this was my second watch, I think I would have been like, don't leave.
Yeah,
This is actually the best bit of the film, I think. I really love the ending. Is just
the emotional
amazing.
payoff of that ending.
It's so good.
Yeah, whenever Sammy, obviously Michael B. Jordan, like you said, and Haley Steinfeld turn up, and you think, is this going to be like to kill Sammy or something like that, or end it all? And it turns out to be like a very sweet and very honest interaction between the three of them, where Stack sort of just, tells him that his music's shit now, but it used to be great. And Sammy says that night, before everything went to shit, it was the best night of my life. Was it not the same for you? And Stack, agrees, and they walk off screen, and this beautiful song plays in the background, and we get a bit of a montage at the end, and it's just like, oh my god, it was hard not to get kind of caught up in that moment. It was like, oh my god, people miss the true ending, and I feel really sorry for them.
Truly. Yeah. And Sammy is played by an actual blues musician, isn't he? Buddy Guy at the end.
Yes, he is a bit of a blues legend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Pretty cool. The ending is good. All the musical moments gave me like full blown goosebumps throughout. What do you think about then like some of my, you kind of have to allow some of the plot development to. You kind of have to go, all right, I'll let you have it because I like the film. Do you see any of that? Are you fazed by any of that? Does it bother you?
I think because I went to see his opening day, and I saw that the reviews were really good, so I had a sort of an expectation, but I didn't really have an expectation of what I was seeing in general because I'd only had that first trailer as a reference, and I hadn't read any of the reviews. So everything, I had constant like moments of elation and like surprise and excitement watching this movie that like I completely overwhelmed my senses to the point that I couldn't get annoyed at anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think because the last third of the movie does fully go genre in a way, that I'm way more forgiving of plot tropes and devices whenever we're leaning into like something like vampires, so that thing doesn't really bother me as much. If that had been like first third of the movie, perhaps, but yeah, like I'll be honest, it didn't bother me.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Fine. And I guess in a way it doesn't really bother me. At the end of the day, the whole package is fantastic. There were just those little moments where I just had to like roll my eyes a little bit and be like, okay, I'll let you have it. Like I appreciate you want to get us to more of an emotional ending than a logical ending. So if that requires Jack O'Connell to kind of monologue to allow Sammy to live, then we'll just go with it.
I overall though, man, I try not to be too hyperbolic, but I'm really happy that this thing exists. I feel really lucky, and it's like film experiences like this in the cinema that really just really reaffirm why going to the cinema is such a special experience, and that there's still space to create modern classics. There's still and I do feel like this movie can kind of fit into the pantheon of vampire classics now. I feel like it's up there. It was such a real pleasure, and it's such a real pleasure to see online and see people, everyone, critics and audiences, loving this equally. Like everybody just seems to be. There's hardly anyone who doesn't seem to like this movie, and hopefully people listening who haven't seen it and have seen it kind of feel similarly. There's just something for everybody, and it's a real joy to kind of have that shared thought process. It really rarely comes along. Usually there's a divide. It's just, this movie is just like a real treat. Of Universal, man, are Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I was going to say
Warner Brothers are absolutely having a field day at the minute. This is a Minecraft movie. They're single-handedly owning the box office at the minute, and they got unless you read the trades, in which case Ryan Coogler's deal with Warner Brothers, where he retains the copyright in 25 years, means that like the studio's gonna end. What a terrible deal! Despite the fact that Tarantino does the same thing with his films, it's a very weird kind of stories that are interesting
running out alongside this. But that does make me think in terms of kind of Coogler now. I think we've always liked him as a director, and he's not made a bad film. Now, I've not seen Creed, but I've heard it's amazing.
Oh, I like Creed.
But what he's done is he's kind of gone from like independent film, worked his way into the studio system, created incredible films for that studio system. Like Black Panther's amazing. I love Black Panther. I love Black Panther 2 as well. And he had a lot of, having to deal with the death of Chadwick Boseman on a quick turnaround from that revelation. I say revelation, from that terrible tragic news to having to kind of rewrite this entire film without your leading man, but also film it in such short time period after this has all played out because of they were gearing up to shoot that film. I think he's a masterful director, and I think now that he's gone, all right, give me a bigger budget to make an original film, and he's blown it out of the bloody field.
It rarely works. Yeah.
Like, is this the film that we now start talking about him in the same kind of pantheon of directors that we do when we talk about like Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve and maybe even like say Jordan Peele, because I feel like Jordan Peele has that kind of status.
Yeah,
he kind of got it a lot faster than
very fast.
Maybe
I feel like horror directors. I feel like horror directors earn it too quickly. Like, I feel like your Robert Eggers, your Ari Asters, and guys like that. They seem to like you do two or three, you do 2 horror movies that are good, and you're suddenly a cult film director. So perhaps Coogler is deserving of that. You're right. He's operating within that studio system, but not sacrificing his own voice, which is like nearly an impossible task. And we see directors every year feel to kind of rise above that. So it's awesome.
Well, I just feel like his status has shifted for me because like I said, like the trailer for Sinners wasn't doing it for me. And like I said, I should never have doubted Ryan Coogler. But for me now, after watching this and, Coogler's previous films, which, probably tainted with the fact that they are kind of IP big studio films.
Yeah.
But for me now, I'm like, I'm going to watch the next film that Ryan Coogler does, whether the trailer looks good or not, because it's a Ryan Coogler film. So all of a sudden, his name means more to me. Like it's kind of like I want to see the next Ryan Coogler project.
Oh wow! I mean, the lesson is don't go off the trailers. I guess, right? I mean, that is the lesson.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
But it is. I think this shows like there is a place for film criticism still. Like a lot of people say, like in the world of Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes and all this kind of stuff, why do we still need film critics? Mm-hmm. And I think if the critical reception to this film had not been strong, it would not be making the money that it's making. It's very successful. It's had the smallest drop from its first week to its second week, pretty much
6%?
Making 6%. Yeah, pretty much making the same amount it did on its first weekend. Without the critical reception, without the buzz for this film, it could have faded into obscurity. So I'm just saying, there's a place for film critics. I don't know if you and I regard ourselves as film critics. We're just having a bit of fun with the podcast, but we review films and stuff. And obviously, we're very late to this, so we have no, we have no hand in the success of Sinners here at all. But I'm just saying, like, as somebody who follows film criticism, I think this shows there's a place for it.
Absolutely, and word of mouth is still a thing, and it's one of those movies you just, as soon as you finish watching it, you kind of like have to have an hour to kind of come down from a little bit. Like, I just kind of wanted to scream from the rooftops and tell everybody to see this movie. So that was a great feeling. So I will do that rare purchase of whenever this comes out on 4K. I reserve that for special movies. So it's definitely going into that pantheon for me.
Nice. And you saw it in IMAX as well.
Yeah, saw an IMAX. So, for people that don't know, I'm sure a lot of people do. A lot of this movie was shot for 70mm IMAX. Obviously, we have a normal IMAX theater where we are, but we don't have a 70mm. But still, we get some of those beautiful elongated IMAX shots that are really incorporated well. And obviously, the music, because it's so amazing in this movie. It's great to hear on a big booming Dolby sort of sound system. So yeah, if you can see it that way, definitely do, but definitely see it in the cinema. Don't watch it at home.
I did see it on a big screen, and I definitely was like, oh man, I bet this looks good in IMAX, because there are definitely some films, there are definitely some scenes where you feel like this is like itching to be bigger, like it just wants to go further out.
I would say
of the frame.
I wouldn't worry too much, Alex. I think the movie's good enough, where it doesn't have to rely on that. I really think that it's a good movie on a big experience and an intimate experience. So don't
some of those. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Interrupted you there.
No, I finished.
Oh, fair enough. Some of those early scenes are kind of weirdly lit, I think, like a little bit dark. And I thought maybe at first it was my projector, but you mentioned that when you saw it on a standard screen, you found some of the scenes a little darkly lit. And then I saw some other people on Letterboxd talking about some of the lighting in those early scenes.
Actually, it wasn't in early scenes for me. It was actually when we get to obviously the nighttime section of the film. But then IMAX completely sort of obliterated any of that. It was really bright.
I did wonder, because obviously it's shot on IMAX cameras. Maybe it was lit for IMAX screens, which
there's like an HDR brighter element to the movie, probably that typical projectors just don't incorporate. Yeah.
But then I do feel like it's the one thing I think I wish I could shake the cinema industry and just be like, please, you have to check these screens more for sound and visuals. Like, some of these cinemas are kind of left to their own devices a few times, and it wouldn't surprise me if the light bulb needed changing or something like that. Like these big chains don't care as much about those little details like we do. But there's a few times I've been to my View where I'm just like, you gotta turn this up just a little bit. It ain't booming like it should.
Yeah,
it really pisses me off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've had that. That seems to be. I don't know. You've said that a couple of times on the show. Where you've had volume issues at your local multiplex.
Thank God, not with this one though.
Good, because that would be,
my local View just recently seems to have, like, I don't know, they've just like turned the volume down like 1 or 2 on some of the films.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe they've had a complaint.
We went to see. Was that the same cinema we went to see Kingdom of the Planet?
No, that was the Showcase nearby, which is
that was quiet, right?
One, but that was quiet. Yeah, that was quiet. Yeah, that was a shame. The Showcase is usually pretty good.
You just never know. It's just like, honestly, going to the cinema, any multiplex, it's a roll of the dice of who's going to sit in the cinema with you. Yeah. It's a roll of the dice of the volume. I know.
I had to ask people to get out my seats in this one. You buy certain seats and then you turn up and people just think it's a free for all. I hate to be that guy. It was an old man as well. I felt quite bad, but I was like, mate, you're in my seat.
Just kicked him.
He did. He kind of. So he literally just moved like 2 seats down, and then at the end of the film, he was like, "I think I left my walking stick under the chair." I was like, "Oh God, I feel worse now."
Just picks up the walking stick and throws it at the other side of the room.
I'm like, "This ain't like the old days, though, man. You buy a seat. It's not a free for all anymore. Get out of my seat."
Oh man, you're a bad guy.
No, don't tell me that. God. Do you know how many anxiety points it took me to even tell him he was in my seat?
Sorry, you're sitting on my seat.
Yeah. That's probably just some like very like sweaty, long-haired man just going, I'm so sorry.
Because in England, there's always a 30% chance that someone just goes, "Fucking what?"
Exactly. I took one look at this old man. I thought I could have you.
I could take him.
I didn't know about the walking stick at that point, but I was like, I could take this guy, I reckon.
Poor guy. He wanted to go pee the entire movie, but he couldn't.
That's probably the case. Oh, that's terrible. It's made me feel even worse.
Oh, Sinners. Guys,
there you go. See it. Yeah, go see it. It is fantastic. Fantastic film. Next week, we are once more diving into the Marvel world. But we're a little bit more optimistic about Thunderbolts because it's supposed to be pretty good. And it might be potentially one of the first films shot by Marvel after all the kind of COVID tainted productions. Mm-hmm. A lot of the action filmed in camera, not as CGI heavy. Apparently, quite a good story. a bit of an emotional backbone to it. You know, these are all things we've heard, so
sure.
We said, let's do it. I mean, there's nothing else coming out that I can think of. Maybe I'm being terrible, but most other films kind of distance themselves when a new Marvel film comes out. So it'll be interesting to see. These are the B and C and D-list characters of Marvel coming together. So, yeah, well, I mean, we'll see how this does box office wise, but yeah, it could be another case of word of mouth does it well.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're right. There have been early sort of like whispers that this could be a little bit better than what we've been getting recently. But I will reserve that excitement until I see the movie, Alex. It's we've been down this road before, but I am excited. I'm up for a good Marvel movie. I love that it's going to be led by Florence Pugh. We have a lot of time for her here on the show.
Florence Pugh, yep.
Yeah, we love Florence Pugh. So
I love Wyatt Russell. I really like Wyatt Russell, and he's playing John Walker in the film. So yeah, I'm excited to see him again. I thought he was one of the good things out of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yes. Angry, petulant Captain America child. Yeah.
Yes, if you gave the wrong person the Captain America shield.
It is, it's an interesting premise. I mean, you do want to punch him that entire show. I'm cautiously excited, but then I watched the trailer, I'm like, oh yeah, there is emotional, like they're going for something here. And then the end of the trailer, they just do a typical Marvel joke in the car again. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yes. Yeah. There is a lot of that. Oh, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So I'm excited for that. I won't promise anything with the next two films, just because obviously you didn't get around to the Sight and Sound one this week. So
I'm kind of glad though, because we got to talk.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time on Sinners and Revenge of the Sith, so that's fair. So back to the Sight and Sound, Cleo 5 to 7, and we did say potentially we might review Havoc, the new Gareth Edwards film.
Yeah,
Gareth Edwards. Am I getting the wrong director here? Is Gareth Edwards?
Gareth Evans?
Gareth Evans. Yes. Right? Sorry, I'm getting my Welsh names mixed up.
No,
Gareth Evans.
I was like, oh shit, that Gareth.
yeah, not Gareth Edwards, Gareth Evans.
I did think that was an odd project for him.
Gareth Edwards will be coming back this year with Jurassic World something.
That sounds more right.
What is the new one called?
Rebirth.
Rebirth. That's it.
Odd title
too. Oblivion. I don't know. So Gareth Evans, director of The Raid, and Raid Part 2, his new action film with Tom Hardy on Netflix. I thought, easy one to catch at home, I guess. 90 minutes of what could be some good martial arts stunt choreography, and, I'm down for that.
We'll report it next week.
So that's what we've got coming up. Join us next week for that.
Well, that has been the episode for this week. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to give us a 5-star rating or review. We really do appreciate it. If you'd like to keep up to date with us, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Film Angle.
We also have a Film Angle playlist, so if you want to listen to what we listen to, and it might be the soundtrack to Sinners, you can find that in the show notes. Be sure to catch us next week for more cinematic discussions. Goodbye.
See you later.